I think the idea of saying to men that our goal for you is to not be toxic is not a very inspiring message, and it's why toxic masculinity has been so profoundly unhelpful.
Richard Reeves is the founding president of the American Institute for Boys and Men, a think tank founded just 6 months ago to address questions like, what is masculinity, and why is there a growing gap between young men and young women?
I do think that a vacuum is being created by the failure of a lot of mainstream institutions to actually just talk about the problems of boys and men.
That vacuum is pushing men towards spaces where they feel open to talk without judgment. Spaces like the internet where the rise of manfluencers are taking over.
Female are barely sentient.
Well, you have to take ownership over women too.
Hoflation, so modern men have to work 5 times harder than their grandfathers did for women 20 times worse than what their grandmothers worked.
These women don't have souls. These modern women have no souls. They will 10 men in one night and get online and brag about it.
What figures like Andrew Tate and others of those kind of quotes alpha male type offer is a very simple model of masculinity. It's a pretty retrograde one in many cases, but it's clear, it's simple, and it's confidently delivered. And I think for a lot of men who are really searching and struggling and hearing all kinds of conflicting messages from around them, and maybe some pathologizing messages as well, that can be incredibly attractive. And they don't, in general, want to turn back the clock. There is no evidence of a turn against ideals of gender equality among young men. They just want their concerns to be taken seriously as well. But failing to do that has actually created the danger that they will see it as zero sum. And they will start to feel that the only way for men to rise again is for women to fall.
Reeves zeroes in on the education system's failure to offer meaningful role models for young men.
We need mentoring programs to get men into teaching. We need targets to get men into teaching. We need to put the same kind of effort into getting men into teaching as we have done, for example, to get women into engineering, tech, STEM, etc. The second thing I would argue for is paid leave for fathers specifically, so that it's kind of dedicated dad leave. And I would also, thirdly, significantly invest in vocational forms of training.
Pornography and video games. I just want to hear your thoughts on them. Can you explain a little bit?
I went looking pretty hard for what's the latest and best evidence on the impact of pornography and video gaming on men. And it's just really hard to find strong evidence for kind of negative impacts. It just is.
You don't see the dating market, like the modern dating scene? No?
Well, I'm just saying it's just very hard to find strong evidence for it.
The full podcast is on thedispatch.com. Become a member to join the conversation.